so I'm going to do a little demo while I'm drawing, painting this piece of bark that I found yesterday that I'm going to kind of attempt to do. Okay, so I started on a drawing, but now I'm going to put in some paints and attempt it that way. Again, this is a sketchbook, so this is all experimental. It's I like to work with sketchbooks because then I don't have to get too precious with everything or worry about how it looks. So let's see, I'm going to try out some colors here. This color's Bark from Deep Deep Light. I was going to use my different kind of colors probably. I want to do a demo of Gallo, but right now I have a lot of beautiful browns in Deep Deep Light that I want to use for this piece. Their natural colors are wonderful. Essay has wonderful natural colors as well. So first I'm putting in kind of a light wash of this color Bark. And there's just so many variations in color in this bark. And I'm not exact with it, but I'm kind of trying to get the idea. And hopefully it'll look kind of cool when I'm done. And let's see, this is very light over here. And I'm going to use, I need Captain's Gray. That's what I want. I'm going to find that. Let's go look for it. Of course, now that I'm looking for it, I'm having difficulty locating it. Oh, man. Oh, here we go. This isn't watercolor paper. This is my Pith. It's a Pith notebook. I decorated the front. Kind of like it. I really like this paper though. It's very smooth because this is really good for mixed media. Paper's really thick. I ordered this from Jackson's in England because you can't get. I just haven't found any here in the United States, and it's just a really great paper. So, and I had one that was really large, but it's almost too big. So I got two of the smaller size recently, so that I would use it more often. Ooh, kind of dark. I'm going to try to cover up a mistake here. See how that works. A lot of what I'm doing right now is going to be in silence. And I don't know, I work in an area that has a lot of trees and nature. And I actually picked up a really beautiful piece of it's kind of a cedar. I think it's like a cedar pine. It's really nice. I have it in water to keep it fresh. And I got a few pine cones. I got a pine cone here. I washed it really well because I didn't want to bring home any bugs because they do crawl inside. And then I did do a sketch of this little guy yesterday. Let me see if I can show it to you. Just started this sketch here. that little guy. So I'm going to go back to using some bark. And this is all just nature. It's very random. And I'm just using it as a reference. It's not an exact copy. I'll probably do one that's a little more exact later. I just kind of got motivated to start on this today. And let's see. Let me do a little kaput mortem. Make a little bit of area that has a little bit of underneath. There's a little red parts that I'll cover up with a darker brown. And of course I'm going to do pen work on top afterwards. I'm just going to show you this little part here that I'm doing, and then I'll stop the video and continue with my ink work. I was using a dip ink and also a micron in sepia, and honestly that micron works so well on this Pith notebook. Super smooth. Yeah, let me try a little partridge and see what that looks like. This is experimenting. Yep. And that is going to be lighter. It's almost like a gray. And okay, let me show you a little bit of the pen work I'm going to do. I'll do it on those parts that's dry that I haven't done anything on. Let's see, where's my sepia ink? Using this calligraphy ink from Winsor Newton, and it is a sepia. I actually really enjoy working in sepia. Okay. It's just a lot of little marks. It looks overwhelming when you start, but if you just take it little piece at a time and just make your little marks, and actually comes out looking pretty cool, I think. And drawing is not my strong suit, but I'm attempting to get better. It's not that I can't draw, it's just that maybe I've always been a little intimidated and perspective, or actually starting a drawing and it not really fitting the piece of paper that I'm working on. So I have to cut off part of it in order for it to fit. That's a problem I tend to have quite often with freehand drawing. So I'm trying to take my time more and really thinking about it. And I've been taught tools, but I think it's just I get impatient and I just rush. So this is a meditative practice right now, this drawing with these dip pens, and just enjoying the process of just slowing down and taking it one piece at a time. Kind of a good metaphor for life, huh? Sometimes we just need to slow down, know we are where we are right now, and to enjoy the moment. And not, so often we're just in such a rush and want to, be somewhere else or accomplish something else or have a new house or go on a trip and all that. And then we're not enjoying the moments we've already created in this moment. So a practice like this really helps to slow you down. And for a lot of people that have a hard time just, doing traditional meditation, this is very much a meditative process. And your thoughts kind of go away and you're just here and slowing down and connecting to your breath and to the scratching of the pen on the paper. And so okay, so I take a minute break and I'm back. I'm going to do a little bit more this line work. Then I'm going to paint a little bit more. And then I'll just show you what, a couple of shots at the end. But this is gonna take me a while. I'm not gonna rush through this. I'm going to allow myself the grace to maybe finish this in a couple of days. Just do little bits at a time, because it is quite intricate. I think I showed you the bark that I'm working from. Oops, there goes a drip. Well, that could be a happy accident, maybe. Oh. There we go. It's my Bob Ross moment, my happy accident. Oops, here goes some more. Oh man. Yeah, this dip pens can be very tricky. I could use a regular fountain pen that I have. I think it has black ink in it though, and I want to use sepia. And I'm going to cover this up in paint anyway, a lot of it. But the thing with these little nibs from the dip pen, in some ways you can get a lot more control, and you can vary the marks. you know, heavier, thicker, lighter, you know, that kind of thing. And because some of these lines in this bark is just so tiny, I wanted the ability to vary my lines as much as possible. And start with them being very, you know, tiny and small. And so I just find this bark so beautiful. When you work with nature in this way and you're looking at it very, very closely, you're looking at things in a way you normally never look at things. Like very often we see a beautiful tree, but we don't really look really closely at the bark or the little acorns or the little leaves and flowers and little petals. It's a lot about observation. And then looking at that in this close a way, you see the amazing patterns in nature. And so I just think it's just so amazing and beautiful. All the variation in colors and the lines. And so this kind of line goes up like that. And then kind of goes down. A little thicker line there. Now, a lot of this isn't going to look like anything right until I'm done with it. It just looks like a bunch of lines. And it probably looks pretty awful to everybody right now. Is like, what is she doing? This looks horrible. But I think that when the whole thing is done, it'll come together, and you probably will be able to see what I'm working on, like what I've been working on, and the whole. You'll say, oh, that's a piece of bark. It's not just a bunch of random squibbles. There. So, really briefly, I am reading a new book today. I'm not really liking it that much. It's just a novella called The Haunting of Tram Car 015. And I don't know, I just finished The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So that's a hard act to follow. That was really a good book and really difficult, very painful subject. But I really personally really love Toni Morrison. I love the way she writes. I never get tired of basically when I say never, it sounds like I've read every book that she's written. I've read Beloved, which was wonderful. Really creepy too. It's kind of scary. And then this one was her first novel. It was called The Bluest Eye. And it wasn't a perfect book. It was her first. And it was a little random in a way sometimes, but I had to give it a really high rating on Goodreads. And, if you're looking for a good classic book and something that maybe makes you think a little bit, it had me reflecting a lot about growing up when I did in the late 1960s and 70s, and how things were as a child in school, and then just all the unconscious prejudice, and then the judgment, and how also for ourselves we are so often wanting what other people have. We want to look like someone else, or we don't have the confidence that we should have. And just if we lack confidence, very often we cheat ourselves from this wonderful, we hold ourselves back, and we don't necessarily accomplish or do things that we really want to do because we're afraid that we're going to fail, or that someone's going to laugh at us, or that we're not good enough. And that's not really necessarily 100% what this book was about, but it was in a way. And it brought up a lot of thoughts like that for myself. And what I'm trying to push through, we have, as artists, very often, at least for me, you're always looking at all these wonderful artists and you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're so much better than I am. How can I, you judge yourself against other people. And that is really destructive, but it is very common. It's part of a lot of human nature. I don't know if it's more prevalent with women, but it's not everyone. I mean, that's just, I can only speak for myself, I guess. But try to work through that and try to show up, because we're all given these wonderful talents and wonderful we're given so many gifts. We should be sharing them with the world and not just keeping them to ourselves, and keeping ourselves small in life because of what fear of being judged, or of failure, or just just all the things that kind of keep us from doing the things that we really love, or the things that we want to do. I always admire people who just really go for it and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. So that's kind of this YouTube channel for me. I always thought, I think I could do that. Well, you know what? I just did it. And I don't know if it's part of, growing older and just not caring as much what people think. But this is my process. And I'm going to go ahead and end this part, and then I'm going to do a little bit more painting. And then I'll show you the finished product. How's that? So let's see, one more. See, so there's this piece, and I've got okay, let me do a few more brush strokes here, and then I'll work on the middle. I'll do more lines over here, and then I'll just call it a day for the video. Let's see what color I want to do for that. Let me try Cassell Brown. I think that's very dark, so I'm gonna, yeah, it's a little darker. I'm going to go into the crevices with this. And this is Cassell Brown. Actually, let me do this. So the colors I've used so far, it's Bark, Cassell Brown. I used a tiny bit of slate. I'm going to use some more of that later. What else did I use? Umbra Dark and Partridge and Caput Mortem. the caput mortem is kind of the undercolor to give it that reddish, because there's certain parts of this that have a little bit of lighter, almost like a reddish tone, undertone to the bark. So that's what I'm doing here. Just putting some of that in there. Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do. So I think I used a lot of bark. So on this page, I'm just going to swatch out with the colors I used, and I'll mark it. Again, these are deep, deep light colors today. And, I have magnets on the bottom. Let's see, Umbra Dark. I'll use some of this. Very similar to bark, but a little bit lighter, I think. We'll see when it dries what it really looks like. Yeah, the bark is deeper, it's richer. And then the Umbra Dark. And then this next one here I use is Partridge. It's a little greeny. Kind of a greenish gray almost. Nothing is all just one color. There's just so many different colors within trees and within plants, and so many variations. Oh, and I forgot Captain's Gray. That's a big one. I used some of that. And let me use some of it now here. Oops. Interesting, this Captain's Gray will change colors as it dries. And it's a magical color. It looks kind of a greenish gray, similar to Partridge, but as it dries it will look different. And so let me mark this. Caput mortem. I did caput mortem in a very light wash because it's a very dark color, rich, but that's not what I was trying to do with this. I was just trying to give it a kind of the brownish reddish undertone that I noticed in this bark, so it's not just all brown. This is not watercolor paper. It's good paper because it's thick, but you know, it would probably be more impressive, the colors on cold press or watercolor paper. But because I'm doing a pen and ink. It works really well on smooth paper, not so well on cold press. And I used a little slate. I mean, you can use any kind of color you want. I mean, this is nature. You can do anything you want or no color. I like a lot of times when if I'm doing these pen and ink, these studies, I don't put any color. I just use the ink and the shading with the ink, and it turns out really nicely. But this one I wanted to put color in, because the bark is flat. So even though there's going to be a lot of lines, the colors and the variations in the bark, if I would have just done it with just the pen and ink, I don't think it would have turned out as well. So this is the piece of bark I'm working from. Yep. And, oh yeah, I used a little Cassell brown. I will use more of it. So I'll just put it over here. So I hope if you're enjoying this video that you support my new channel and subscribe, and if you would give me a like, and maybe if you happen to be watching, drop a comment in the comment below. If you want to drop a comment about what you're doing over the Memorial Day weekend, or a book you just read and whether you liked it or not. That way I know that people are actually watching and that I'm not just talking to myself. But I really appreciate those of you that are here spending time with me today. So let's see, slate and Cassell brown. Okay. And a couple more. Oh, here, let me try this little. I just got this brush today. Thought it would be cool to use for something. Not necessarily this, but let's go with what color do I want to use? My bark. Oof. It's kind of a different feel with this brush here. I'm gonna dab a little. It's a little darker than I want it to be. And a little bit of this Captain's Gray. Yeah, I don't really like this brush for this particular project. Where There we go. And I'm going to go back to Umbra Dark. I can't wait to, I'll add lines in here when this dries, and I think it'll look good. Okay, let's do a little bit of this. Again with the Captain's Gray. And obviously I'm going to do these in layers. This is not the end. Let me put a little bit more of this. I kind of like how this works with the kaput underneath. Okay. All right, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll work on the lines, and I will actually take a picture of the finished product. I think you guys have an idea of how this works. And thank you for joining me today, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.